The 2000s were well known for their gimmicky novelty snacks, and a lot of those snacks were tie-ins for some kind of popular media like the weirdly extensive selection of Shrek products. And back then, there was almost nothing quite as popular with kids like myself as Pokémon. So as you can imagine, there were tons and tons and tons of Pokémon food collabs. And it wouldn't be a Pokémon product, however perishable, if people weren't trying to sell it for tons of money on eBay over 20 years later. That's right, you lucky son of a gun, can buy cereal that expired decades ago on the internet as a collectible. To be fair, judging from some Reddit posts I found, there's at least one person who is pretty dedicated to collecting these snacks, and I can actually kinda see the appeal in a weird way. But the fact there's an overpriced aftermarket for expired foods is crazy to say the least, and also evidently against eBay's TOS from what I can gather. But it's also really interesting because I can't think of another IP so popular that even products you can't safely use or consume are considered valuable as long as they have that branding. In March of 2000, Kellogg's announced the cleverly named Pokémon Toasted Oat Cereal with Marshmallow Bits, which is interesting because I didn't even know breakfast cereals got announcements, so that must have been hype. It was basically Lucky Charms, but the marshmallows were shaped like Pikachu, Poliwhirl, Oddish, and Ditto in the Generation 1 version. In the Generation 2 version, they were shaped like Pichu, Wobbuffet, and Cleffa. What's weird about the Gen 2 version, though, is that it was released before those games had even been announced in North America, so I have to wonder if kids even questioned who these Pokemon were, or if they just literally didn't notice or care. The aftermarket situation on this one is kind of interesting, because it appears there were some limited edition variants of the cereal boxes that had holographic Pokemon logos, so that will affect the pricing a bit. What drives up the price even more is if there's still cereal sealed in the box, which is kind of mind-blowing to me because it makes sense and also doesn't at the same time. The cereal is useless. You can't safely eat it, it's just there, longing for purpose. But also it's really cool in the most indescribable way to have this perfectly preserved cereal relic hiding inside your exorbitantly priced cereal box. I'm starting to really get the appeal here, and I'm not sure how I feel about that. This one takes me back. When I was a kid just discovering Pokemon, Pokegum was basically the coolest thing you could buy at Big Lots. There's not really any trivia or cool facts I could find about the production and release of this gum other than it happened sometime in 1999. But basically, the foil packaging was similar to a booster pack of Pokemon cards, and inside were two big pieces of gum that had a picture of a Pokemon stamped on them, as well as actual cards with a Pokemon on one side and a piece of a puzzle on the other side. So you'd have to buy multiple packs of Pokegum in order to complete the puzzle and collect each available Pokemon. While Bulbapedia says there were 2 packaging variants, on eBay you can find 4 different variations, and I don't see why they wouldn't be legit. They actually all look pretty familiar to me. Currently you can find all 4 on eBay for $55 plus shipping, or $100 if you just feel like spending more money for some reason. Or you can buy a single pack for as low as $17, and at this point I am very weirdly tempted to buy one, but I think this may be a slippery slope, so I will refrain. But it is a huge nostalgia trip seeing these again. I found nothing interesting online about the Pokemon Wonder Ball aside from its insane and mysterious aftermarket price. There's only one I can find currently listed, and it's for $4,999.99. The seller claims that this is the only complete in-box Pokemon Wonder Ball left in existence, which, while entirely possible, I'm not 100% sure how you'd know that. I found a Reddit comment from a few months back mentioning a listing for $10,000, but it's totally gone, so there's no way to know if it was the same person who just ended up relisting it for less. I guess it's a mystery for now. They also say in the description that just the box alone without the actual Wonder Ball can go for $1,000, but I couldn't find any old completed listings to verify this either. I just can't find any sales history, so this whole Wonder Ball situation is just really weird. And the best information I can find is from the description of a seller who's actively trying to make $5,000 off candy from like 2 decades ago, so I don't know how reliable that is. But it's at least cool, if not a little strange, that you can even find one. As seems to be kind of a running theme, there's not a lot of production lore to be found on the Kraft Pokemon Macaroni and Cheese, except that it was released in January of 2000, and that the noodles came in 6 different shapes indicated on the package for each variation. On eBay, you can currently buy all 6 variations without the pasta for $60, or if you want the expired pasta, it'll run you double the price for just 1 box. Listen, like I said, I'm getting the appeal of the collectible food thing, but $120 for a single box of inedible pasta is still hard to wrap my head around. Pokémon rolls were basically fruit by the foot, but Pokémon themed, released under the Betty Crocker brand in 1999, coming in only fruit punch flavor and in packs of 6. And for a limited time, they included a promotional Meowth card. The card is a gold border version of Meowth from the Jungle set, and I found a PSA 9 mint listing on eBay for $190, though you can get it in varying conditions ungraded for much less. I mention the pricing of the card because what's absolutely insane to me is the boxes of Pokémon rolls, whether sealed or empty, are more valuable than even the mint limited promo card that's not, perishable. What's even crazier is people will actually buy even just the paper that the Pokémon rolls were rolled up in. To be fair, going off of the only bid on this listing, it'll probably be for not nearly as much money, unless there's some kind of bidding war over parchment paper or whatever it technically is. But is it not wild that even these packaging scraps have value if it's Pokémon themed? Nonetheless, this was really fascinating to look into, and it was cool branching out into other kinds of nostalgia-related content, which I'd like to experiment more with, so I hope you enjoyed the video. By the way, if you enjoy the video, consider liking and subscribing because it makes me feel alive, and if you're interested in cool stuff like seeing my videos early and getting monthly exclusive videos, I'll leave a link to my Patreon in the description so you can check that out, or you can also become a channel member. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye!